When you're in the middle of nowhere, you have got to pick your spots, and I may have found a good one. We'll see. It looks interesting. It's been here since 1994. I am in Torrington, Wyoming, and that is near the Nebraska border. For those of you who are keeping score, it is one of Wyoming's larger towns, but that still only means about 5,000 people. So we're going to see if this, that, and then some has anything cool in the way of vintage that sounds like a fun store. Let's take a look. Well, this place says it has all this stuff, and we're going to go find out. That's Turner. Let's take a look in here. Well, I'm betting this used to be a grocery store by the cool clock up on the wall, but this seems like a nice big place that does have a lot of antiques and vintage, so I think we're going to spend a little time here. Okay, this is kind of cute. It's got some orange in it, so it may have been put together a little later, maybe in the 60s. 89. Coin spot syrup is an old one, but the lid is gone. Some uranium glass. You can get atomizers. It might be worth fixing that little perfume. Barbie's case is $25. Ken's is a lot more. And there's the super deluxe size. These sort of sepia tone movie photos are usually 1970s reprints. Cute cameras. These are mostly little cheap brownies and similar things. Priced in the 25 to 35 range for those. Aw, there's some cuteness. I am heavy in cats and not heavy in dogs. $21.95 though. That's about where this should be. And there are some very startled Siamese. Made by Northwest, $34.95. I wonder if that's the set. No, they're priced individually because these two are UNESCO. This place is a used store and secondhand as well, but they do have mainly vintage even in here. Bunch of Tupperware. In a town this size, this remote from things, I would think that you would be mixing some useful items in, and that it wouldn't just be antiques and vintage. And that does seem to be the case, but there are old things on every shelf. $14.95 on the cafe ware. This is a Hall china piece, one of the little 2-cup ones. You can see the mark. It's after 1969 because it's no longer the oval with the capital letters. But I like the little silvered spout. But more attractive is behind it. I think this is really fun. Very flowery. Not a major company. $35 for the pair. Ooh, I really like the roundness of this green 1930s. It's been repainted green, but I like the shape a lot. We don't see kitchen queens much from this era because most places were starting to have everything built in terms of steel cabinetry and that sort of thing. Neat old shake blender there. There are chefs who collect nothing but chefs, and that one is vintage, 1950s for $30. Lots of shakers. I like the skunked. These with the realistic painting. I know they're a little later in time, but they're still probably 1960s. At the latest, and they are $6, but they say they're as is. Darn. Master Point ice picks. Take your pick. I always like the Apple version of these. This one is priced at $15. The prices are fine. They seem to be retail though. So our best hope in getting a bargain is to find something that people here wouldn't want. Are these local? I haven't heard of Spring Grove. That's Minnesota. And Kellogg's out of Cheyenne by Grapette Bottling, Scottsbluff, Nebraska. So this is definitely local to here, and it's $10 because of local interest. Things like movies and CDs as well. Bartender up there. They're not too far behind on their pricing on the mirror, so I don't see anything I think I need to have there. This is very cute. See, another rounded 1930s piece. And I love all the old Blue Hall refrigerator jars and stuff with it. We're getting out west, so we're starting to see a lot of enamelware, and particularly the blue, which is not as easy to find and is very, very attractive to a lot of people. This is a little darker shade than you usually see. It's priced at $45. Obviously, it has a bit of wear. A lot of these will because of their age. This one has more of a white swirl in the background. Well, I have to say this makes a very clever kitchen display. They just keep lining up the old kitchen queens. A lot of these white painted ones don't sell for a lot of money these days, and they paint them to match the display. And I think it's very cute. I could see someone taking the whole thing home. Now, these are very 70s. They're Revereware, but they're the pure aluminum, and I don't do the aluminum for cooking, but they are neat looking. If you wanted them for display, they're 60 bucks. Wow, and they've done the same here too. More fun than using walls, I guess. I like the decals on this. That cute waitress and the chef from the 50s. Some just used furniture as well. Obviously, they've got to stay in business in a local area, so they've got to be able to sell things during the winter time when people can't really get here. Pretty Fenton vase that goes with all of this floral china from the early 1900s. Ooh, these definitely tempt me. I really like celluloid boxes, and I have not seen so many in one place in a really long time. I have a friend in Tampa who collects them, and that's the last time I saw a collection this large. Condition seems mostly good. I like the scenic ones, but there's some nice florals as well. The little angel pulling the cart with the Valentine in it. Oh, this is a very sweet case. I have to admit, I love this kind of stuff. I'm not guessing that there's going to be a lot in my price range, but we'll see. They've also got a lot of the old celluloid-covered photo albums that I think are just beautiful, and some of them are in better condition than others, but wow, what a neat collection. I'll see if I can't spot a price or two and decide whether I can afford to look in here. Yeah, they're around $50 on a lot of the boxes that I like, which is a fair price. It looks like they've got several of these too, priced about $45. I mean, their prices are really quite fine for what they have, and they have some beautiful things. If it was just for me collecting, I'd be shopping here. Noritake Spotlight. This is a thing you'll see in thrift stores without the labels, and people don't always know. The color's a little better looking than it looks behind the glass, and it came in various colors. That's definitely something collectible. Here they are in the highball form, and as smaller goblets. They also had taller ones, and those would be the most desirable. $40 on the Fenton basket. I mean, their prices are right on. They're not bad at all. But I haven't seen things that I collect yet, and of course I'm buying for resale. Now, I'd like to know the price on the bottle there. That's pretty neat. That looks like rainbow glass with the threaded collar. I'm going to ask. So sad. It is such a bargain. But the application here, I'm not sure if that's broken, but it looks sharp to me. It should be a thin thread. That is so sad because they only want $23.50. Well, I can't justify it because of the condition, but that tells me, like these Arco Rock 70s for $23 for the set of 4, that some of the stuff from the era that I look for the Portland show, if it's here, is going to be priced cheaply. Lots of boots. I would expect some Western displays. I like the leather 2-old purse, but this is the sort of thing that's going to sell around here, so I'm not expecting bargains. I see $129 on that purse. I like the 50s horse planter, and he is now only $20 on that. He might be a Stuart McCulloch. He's very lightweight like that. It does say made in USA. Definitely a California potter. That might be a buy. They have Western restaurant wear too, and I'm not expecting this to be cheap either because of where we are, but I really love it. Right out of the 50s and 60s, if you're in this part of the country, you know, this would be the kind of thing that you would want to collect with the brand. Very much like that Yellowstone TV show, right? You can just sort of live that every day. However, these are priced at what they should be for their age. Torrington is right along the old California, Mormon, and Oregon trails, although it was not incorporated as a town until 1908, I think because the railway and the Platte River combined to make it a place to go, in a place where there's not a lot of places to go. I've been looking for Conestogas for weeks, and I have not found any I could afford to buy, and I don't know that it'll get easier as I get out west. This is interesting because the shape is the state of South Dakota, and it's done by a fellow in Oklahoma, showing the various types of barbed wire fence that were created over the years. This was a popular thing to do in the 70s, and it is interesting. There are a lot of styles. And these would be neat for lodge look. The horse hames turned into a lamp. That's an old wagon wheel hub turned into a lamp. Very cute. The horse wall plaques are Victoria ceramics, and they are $25 each. Again, the prices are fine on what they've got. They've got cute stuff. If I was setting up a house and collecting, I would buy a whole bunch of these at these prices. But I am selfishly looking for things I can make money on as a reseller. And I'm sure there are things in here. Just have to keep looking. That is a hand-painted American pottery label. The oval with the bar down the middle might be familiar to Disney collectors who collect American pottery. That's only $14.95. I don't know that their ducks do as well as the Disney, but I do think it's a neat look. Well, we're getting off into here where it's a little bit more new stuff, and this is typical of antique shops in little towns in Wyoming. They do have boutique-y things as well because, again, they've got to cover a few different customers. There's just not enough traffic for them unless they're in a larger city to really keep it going. Fire extinguisher lamp is interesting. I'm not sure about those proportions. Never thought of using one of these as a record display. That's great. Oh, very cool. $60 for Lassie. I like old lunchboxes. $60 for Hanna-Barbera. The Fall Guy. Oh, yes, I remember that. The Stuntman from the 80s. This is one of the last metal ones. $65. Star Wars. $89.50. Not in great shape. Little House on the Prairie. All sorts of 70s and 80s era in this particular collection. Even all the way down to Mork and Mindy and the Muppet Show. Oh, I have a friend who would just love the Muppet Show. She does love the Muppet Show. I don't know if she would enjoy this as a display, but $40 and it's got everybody on it. Sometimes we're just shopping. I'm going to get this for my friend. It's priced about the same as if I got it off eBay. It's got the thermos. The thermos is a little bit worn, but you know what? It's here. I'm going to see her soon. It was just her birthday. This is perfect. Chest of drawers from the 30s, $149, kind of a practical thing. This doesn't look as refined as a Parrish, so I'm betting it's Fox. But I don't see a signature at all. However, it is very sweet anyway, and what a beautiful view. And $69. So, again, nice piece, great for decorating. Not really a reseller price. I like the store display box. Newest styles, popular prices, fall and winter of 36 and 37. Great for displaying things just like they are. This certainly is a big place with a lot of stuff. There's really not any antique malls in the area, and so this is going to be the place. Desert Rose, and they're selling it at the correct new prices, not trying to get 30-year-old prices for it, so that's good. There is one piece that's rather unusual here, actually, and that's this. This was a very late pepper mill, but it seems to not be all intact. There's an interesting swung vase by Viking with flowers on it. I wonder if people would like that or reject it, but it's cheap and you don't see them often, so I'm going to take a look. Oh, I want flamingos to be cheap because they don't belong in Wyoming, but the front one's $99, which is really not unreasonable. And the back one is $79. I got so close. If it was $60 or $65, I would take it. Maybe we'll have a conversation. Well, that was fun. They opened early. I was able to get a couple of swung vases that are interesting and a little bit different. And I got my friend a birthday gift. That one I had to pay tax for, but they gave me a nice discount. And so I'm very pleased. What a nice little store. Well, I saw a thrift store sign on the way out of town. So I figured we ought to go into O Goshen Ministries thrift shop on the edge of town in Torrington. And then we've got one other place in the area we can check out. Victorian, some cups and saucers. I bet this is kind of lightweight though. Yeah, Japanese, that's what I thought because of the shape. Newer than they look, but pretty color. One of those 80s anchor hawking pieces. And then this is a very small little typewriter, isn't it? R.C. Gorman print, that's neat. Little tiny crack in the glass, though. It's a print rather than an original signature, so just a decoration, but it's cool. Well, this place is pretty nicely laid out, I have to say. There are some vintage things here. A lot of the usual things we see, though, like Noritake sets, they're very hard to sell. Yes, it is right up there with blue geese, and yes, it's from the same era. You can tell by the colors, but this is treasure craft. This is the anti-M pattern, and it says so on the bottom. A whole lot of different companies made stuff to go along with this, so you could get a whole suite for the house back in the 80s. And you can see right there that the pattern has a Hallmark copyright because they were the ones who came out with it, and then they got the houseware makers to make stuff to match all of the towels and paper goods and things they were making and selling. Ooh, I want 4 of these. I've got to say, it's really organized. Buffalo China cafe ware. Good old cornflower living ware. I wonder what these price. Christmas alley through here. Some carnival patterns. This one looks like it might be the old one because it's a different, mellower sheen. $15 on that. It's probably about what it's worth. Simple raid pattern. Now this place is quite big. And this seems to be the clothing room, which is not really my gig. Unless I see something that's really great. Like if this was truly vintage flower power, I'd be very excited. But maybe somebody made this on their own at home now that I'm looking closer. Oh yeah, that's definitely an old zipper. And someone did do this themselves because it's a little wiggly, but you know, I kind of like this thing. And I'm just betting it might not be a whole lot of money. And they used a different fabric on each side, but I guess that makes it reversible. I don't know that it's good, but sometimes it's fun to just try different things. And if you are enjoying checking out this channel, you might try the Antique Nomad Shorts, because that's where I go now to do little short announcements and talk about things that are upcoming events and things like that. So check out the Antique Nomad Shorts. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe there and here. Someone painted a cute owl in the early 80s on that shelf. $10 on stereo cards. It looks like there's about 10 in there. That might be worth getting just because there'll be something fresh for my inventory, which I haven't refreshed in a long time. But let's see if any of them are interesting. This looks like a comic. The Battleship Maine. We see that one a lot. Another comic. Oh, see, there's Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. I might have a buyer for those. And it looks like there's several of them. Oh yeah, I think I'll take these for this price. They just happen to be the right stuff for places I go, so, and they seem a little lost here in Wyoming. Oh, and this is cool. Central City, Colorado. Oh, this is an old one showing the way things were back then. This could actually be a pretty good one, although it is part of a series, so maybe they made a lot of these. American Scenery, that's Colorado. This one somebody just made up, and this one is someplace in Utah. Not a great image, but interesting that it's a handmade one. It means that there's real scarcity or uniqueness, and this one seems to be one with a bunch of people who went out and did something in the big trees of California. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, I'm going to take this. This is just interesting enough for the price. This is Red Wing. It's supposed to have a deer figure sitting in the middle of it. I have the deer figure. I have the candlesticks. I have the bowl. They seem to be in 2 different states, so I have to try to get them back together.
If it works, I don't.
Well, that's a nice old dome-top trunk. Certainly has an aged look. It has a bid of $25. This is something that a lot of places like this do. They'll actually put out interesting things and let people do a silent auction on it and see if they can't get more than they would if they just sort of tried to price it themselves. I mean, they're raising money for charity. I understand that. And then let's see these, which have no bids.
Bye-bye.
Feel pretty new.
It's that one over there.
Jeweled fruit. That's kind of fun.
Do you want to make a bid? Yeah, I will.
So these folks are the Land of Goshen Ministries, and I really enjoyed your store, and you have some neat stuff, and it was priced very fairly. And we are we in Torrington still?
We're in Torrington, Wyoming.
Very good.
Yes. Please stop and visit us because we do have great stuff every day.
And everything that you do goes to help local people in need, it seems.
Yes, yes. We feed, we fill a food pantry with our proceeds from the store, And we hand it out once a month to needy families.
Oh, that is awesome.
Mostly seniors. So.
Yeah, I imagine so. Well, that's a wonderful thing that you do. Thank you so much, and thank you for some wonderful things.
And thank you for being here.
No, I'm glad I stopped by.
Yeah, thank you.
And these ladies are from out of town, and they just stopped by and look at those Empoli bottles they got. Those are pretty cool. Well, that was a lot of fun, and I'm always glad to say something about a place that's trying to do stuff to help other people, because that's what we try to do on this channel, and that's what I just feel we all should try to do for each other. So I'm very supportive of their mission. I supported them with $11 in my purchase, and oh boy, I'll bet those 2 Empoli bottles went cheap. They put them out right after I walked in, and the woman turned around and said, "Oh, how much are these? I'll take them." I don't even know how much they are. They never even got a sticker on them, and I didn't even get to look. But, you know, that's the thing. You just never know where you're going to be and what you're going to chance upon. I also didn't expect to find a bunch of interesting old stereo cards. So there you go. Torrington is the center of Goshen County, Wyoming, and that is the reason for Land of Goshen Thrift Store. Well, the 2 antique stores in Lingle, Wyoming, just up the road, well, they are closed today. But this place is getting restocked, a very friendly name, and right across from the Senior Friendship Center. So our last place is actually the first place, the first settlement in Wyoming, Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie is an old place by Wyoming standards. And that means when the railroads first came through, which would be the 1860s. We are at the Fort Laramie Trading Post, and you'll get the idea when I show you around. This used to be a fun place, and a place that people would stop. So it still has the look. It could be fun to revive, but you would have to promote it. Way out here in the middle of nowhere, this is where Fort Laramie is. The establishment of a not too great hotel here that was the last stop on the way to a stage that could take you up to the gold fields made Fort Laramie the first settlement, and most important momentarily, in all of the state. It's a pretty impressive thing that a lot of this is still left, or has been kept alive, or recreated in some cases, I'm sure. We'll get a feel for that as we walk around. Fort Laramie is an interesting and desolate place. I recommend going to places like this if you have the chance to travel cross country. They are very different than things that you have ever experienced. It will put you in a different mind about how people lived and how they had to deal with things. This is the oldest building left in Wyoming, built in 1849. It bears a strange resemblance to Mount Vernon in its simplicity. It was nicknamed Old Bedlam because of boisterous sounds supposedly heard while it was occupied by bachelor officers. Oh my, that doesn't sound good. For settlers who wanted to move into western Nebraska after the Civil War, though, this fort became really essential, and that's why it continued to grow. And at one time, as you see, was quite vast. That looks like it might have been a jail or prison over there with the bars on the window, I would surmise. Well, let's see if we hear any boisterous sounds while we're in here. The old bells, they're great. They work. They're just wonderful. The furnishings appear to be how this place was furnished around the time of the Civil War. Wyoming was a territory during the Civil War and sided with the North, but most people stayed out here on the prairie because they were busy fighting with the Native Americans and were already engaged. And when you notice things like pianos and fancy linens, bear in mind that they had to appeal to officers, oftentimes who had wives in tow, which is why by the 1870s, when this dresser was made, and most of the furniture in this parlor was made, you saw lots of fancy, nice goods coming even to fortresses. The parlor lamp that pulls down, a lot of finished goods were sent out as soon as there was rail, because they needed to keep people out here happy. And I'm sure whoever the camp tailor was very happy to see that sewing machine come off the railroad around 1870. This would have been the post commander's office, a little finer. Usually kitchens would have been outdoors, but in Wyoming, where it gets very cold, they would have accepted the risk of fire in order to have the indoor heat. Laundry and boiling facilities. That big tub washer would have been a little later in time. You're able to see for a long distance, and that would be important for defense. There's all these breezeways, and this is positioned in a particular point out in the landscape so that on summer days like this, which is pretty hot actually, this place would not be baking. There's our original construction, what we could make out of what was here and what we could get up the river. Well, there you go. There's where the party is. See, it's this guy's room. I knew it. The guardhouse looks a little more austere. The river comes through right here, and one of the reasons they might have the guardhouse near the river would be to be able to spirit things away quickly by water if they had to for some reason. And here are your prison cells. Wow, here we are. I'm going to jail. I think the cell is actually this box over here. The local smithy made that strap, it looks like. Wow. This would be horrible. Thankfully, they won't let us lock ourselves in there. I have a feeling it smells better than it did. Oh my. Shortest prison term ever. Well, I hope you enjoyed a couple of shops in Wyoming and a really neat place that not many people have been to that figured very prominently in American history. This was a fun morning and I am out of here. I'll be reporting from my next stop. And if you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.